I was really eager to watch this series because of the trailer and the cast, but I must confess, so far I'm a bit disappointed. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Here we review and highlight content featuring female lead characters. All about women, all made for or by women. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. In one of my previous videos, I mentioned that I'd been waiting for this particular one, and now it's out. So let's talk about it. Expats is a new miniseries from Amazon Prime starring Nicole Kidman as Margaret and Sarayu Blue as Hillary. We mainly follow Margaret as she tries to move on from a tragedy that has happened to her and her family. This trauma affects her and those around her in every aspect of their lives. The series is about a group of expatriates living in Hong Kong. They all mainly lead privileged lives, have help and everything they need. They're supposed to be happy. But we gradually discover that they all have to deal with their own problems. The first episode starts after a tragedy. When we meet Margaret, she seems to be in a state of fog, barely in touch with her son and daughter or her husband. His job is the reason the family moved from New York to Hong Kong, and at the beginning of the series, he secretly seeks support in a church because of the bad thing that happened. We meet this family and all the characters in the aftermath of everything that has happened. Then we meet Hillary. She lives in the same chic apartment building as Margaret and her family. It is apparent that they used to be friends, and although there is now some tension between them, the bond between the two women still seems to be very strong. Margaret somehow hurt Hillary, and Hillary finds it hard to reconcile with her. But Hillary also has to deal with her own problems. She and her husband David have problems. The couple have been trying for a long time to have a baby, despite Hillary's fast-paced professional life and her husband's doubtful reliability. Their marriage is in trouble. Then, the third main character, Mercy, a young woman who works in the restaurant business and often finds herself explaining to people she meets that she's not from here, that she's American Korean and that she doesn't speak Cantonese. She provides a prologue to the series in voiceover which makes it clear that she feels very guilty about something and is having trouble moving on. I was really eager to watch this series because of the trailer and the cast, but I must confess, so far I'm a bit disappointed. First, let's talk about the good aspects. The series has a really slow pace, and it's very character-driven. We spend a lot of time with Margaret, Hillary and Mercy, and the people they interact with. If you don't like this kind of story, you'll get bored, especially at the beginning. There are two aspects in the series that are always highlighted: pain and guilt. It is systematically structured in this way. It alternates between the two sides, which are mainly embodied by Margaret for pain and Mercy for guilt. Although the series acknowledges the existence of conflict in Hong Kong, it does so in a very non-specific way. It also highlights class disparities, but again in a very non-specific way. I can also say that the episodes are well structured, and I'll come back to this but later. For now, let's stick with the good things. The story is well paced, and by the end of the second episode, you get the full picture. We know what everyone's role was in the tragedy that struck the family and exactly what happened. I'm being deliberately vague because I don't want to spoil the series for you, in case you want to watch it. I mentioned earlier that so far I've been a bit disappointed with the series. Okay, let me explain why. Some of the promotional material for this series suggested that it might be a satire. I'm sorry to have to say it, but the series seems unable to satirize these women. For those who don't know, this series is an adaptation of the novel The Expatriates by American author Janice Y.K. Lee, published in 2016. I haven't read the book yet, and it may well be a satire, but this series is not. I don't want to make a long expose and have a video that's too long, so I'm just going to list the things that disappointed me. First, the fact that these women's stories have nothing to do with the fact that they are expats. This mainly applies to Margaret and Hillary. Mercy is a different thing. And besides, for me, she's the most well-done character in this series. Mercy is interesting because although she's also an expat, she's a completely different kind of expat. For me, Margaret and Hillary are sometimes very selfish and not really aware of their privileges. But Mercy is different. The character is imbued with a complex credibility, racked with guilt, making her an outside-edly confident young woman. She's the strongest performance in the series and the one that best withstands the series' uncertainty. Don't get me wrong, I really liked Nicole Kidman's performance. She is an astonishing actress. She successfully conveys the grief and pain that Margaret tries to conceal. But I think the character was wrongly written for what the show is trying to do with it. And please don't even get me started on Hillary's character. I'll just say that she's the one we find hard to relate to. Secondly, I find the series rather insipid. By that I mean that it doesn't really stand up for anything. Perhaps in its attempt to avoid saying the wrong thing about expats or Hong Kong, the series ends up saying nothing at all about these subjects. I always try to find positive aspects in all the content I watch, knowing everything that goes into creating these films and series, all the compromises the creators have to make to satisfy producers, distributors and so on. All I can say is that, at some point, there was probably another vision for this series, and now we can barely see the remnants of it in the final product. I don't know if I'll finish the series, but I'll see. The third episode did a good job of making you want to watch the rest. The show was created by Lulu Wang and filmed in Hong Kong. Expats is available to stream on Prime Video. Will you watch the series? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, check out these other videos on the channel.